Coming up on this edition of Sports Extra, Carolina football had its bye week. We look forward to this weekend's game against Wake Forest. It's a trap!
Women's soccer drops 2 straight road games, what the losses mean, and why you shouldn't worry.
And finally, it might not be the Flying V, but this club team is mighty indeed. All that and more. Sports Extra starts
right now.
From the University of North Carolina School of Media and Journalism, covering the full range of Tar Heel athletics. This is Sports Extra.
Hey there, everybody. For the first time in 2 weeks, no sporting event was canceled because of rain. It's a Columbus Day miracle. Welcome to this edition of Sports Extra. I'm Rivers Upchurch.
And I'm Luis Fernandez. You know, I was never really a big fan of Christopher Columbus. There was a beautiful weekend, though, for the most part. But, you know, it felt like something was missing. What could have been missing? Oh, yeah, there was no football. No Carolina football on a fall weekend is a weird feeling. So we decided to do some investigative journalism to find out what the Sports Extra crew does on a bye week.
My turn, guys.
Okay, time to get started. That was good enough.
Okay. Interesting.
Ready for the game? Best seats in the house. Can't wait for the game on Saturday. Let's do it, Heels. Woo! Go Heels. Go Heels. Defense. Defense.
No worries, guys. You have just about 122 more hours until kickoff.
Before we get ready for the Demon Deacons, let's take a look at the season so far. Helping us to do that is football analyst Amanda Lee. Amanda, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So now is as good a time as ever to look back on the first half of the season. Amanda, I understand your offensive MVP is a little unexpected.
Well, he's not Marquise Williams, but to me, this one is a no-brainer. There's a reason Elijah Hood was the #1 running back in North Carolina coming out of high school. His physical, downhill running style has been just what Carolina needed. He has 444 yards, and he's been explosive off the line, averaging 6.3 yards a carry. He takes care of business in the red zone, too. He has 5 touchdowns on the season. If anything, this guy hasn't touched the ball enough. Feed him. Hood is on pace for more than 1,000 yards this season. The last Carolina back to do that recently was Giovanni Bernard in 2012.
Wow, Gio, good company right there. As dynamic as the offense has been, though, the defense has really been stealing the show.
Yeah, the D is giving up 18 points per game, though, but last year through 5, they were giving up 42. Oof. Who's your defensive MVP?
Well, I'm actually going to go with an entire unit, the secondary. Donnie Miles leads the team with 42 tackles, MJ Stewart has 3 interceptions, and Des Lawrence rounds out the group with 3 passes defended and 3 breakups. In fact, this is amazing. Carolina's passing defense is top 5 in the country, with only 123 yards per game in the air. They've only allowed 3 passing touchdowns this year. Compare that to 12 through 5 games last year. Last but not least, let's take a look at the play of the year so far. It was the biggest play in Larry Fedora's biggest win as the UNC head football coach. That's right, just last week in Atlanta, Georgia Tech, the handoff to TJ Logan turns into a reverse. Quinshot Davis throws his 4th career touchdown pass to Marquise Williams. Carolina takes the lead after trailing by 21 to start ACC play 1-0. We need to see that one again. Look at this money pass by Quinshot Davis. But let's look ahead to next week's upcoming opponent, Wake Forest. Wake Forest only averages 19 points per game, which is pretty bad. But the Demon Deacons have a solid defense, which only allows 17 points per game. That ranks 28th in the country. Speaking of defense, Wake Forest is coming off of a 3-0 win against Boston College. Now check out this crazy stat. According to News and Observer reporter Joe Giglio, Wake Forest under head coach Dave Clawson is 2-1 in ACC games when the Deacons don't score a touchdown, and 0-8 when they do.
So on paper, this should be a pretty easy win for Carolina, right?
But not so fast. Here's this week's extra point. Under Coach Fedora, Carolina is 0-3 in games following a bye week. One of those losses was the 70-41 thrashing against ECU last season. The other two were against Georgia Tech and Miami. Those were both at home.
Football analyst Amanda Lee with her normal terrific insight about Carolina football. Thank you, Amanda.
Thanks.
The Carolina Student Athlete Advisory Council, also known as SAC, is taking part in the Save the Fox campaign. Judge Carl Fox, a Carolina alumnus and Superior Court judge in Orange County, was diagnosed with myelodysplastic syndrome. He launched Save the Fox in partnership with Delete Blood Cancer to encourage registration for the bone marrow registry. SAC garnered the support of more than 140 student athletes in an effort to find a match for Judge Fox. Fans will have the opportunity to register at the football game against Wake Forest on Saturday.
So the last time we talked to basketball analyst Brett Thompson, he was talking about jerseys. Any guesses what he has for us today?
We can move. We're good.
He joins us in
no
studio.
worries. You're good.
Brett?
Jumpman, Jumpman, Jumpman. Them boys up to something. The men's basketball team unveiled a new alternate uniform for the December 19th game in Brooklyn against UCLA. The Tar Heels will wear black, yes, black, for the first time in program history, and those jerseys are crispy. Seriously, that Carolina blue on black with the gold lining, them's is cookies. UNC, you're already taking my money with tuition. This is just getting greedy. And while UNC has some of the most recognizable uniforms in all of college hoops, the Tar Heels and Jordan Brand haven't been afraid to venture out with alternate uniforms, which brings us to today's hidden stat. Carolina is 8-2 wearing alternate uniforms in the Roy Williams era. The only two losses came when the Heels wore Jordan's silver anniversary jerseys against Florida State in that super fun NIT season in 2010. Shouts out Larry Drew, shouts out Ware Twins, and those god-awful interlocking NC jerseys they wore in a beat 'em down at Miami in 2013. So enough about jerseys. Believe it or not, there's human beings inside of them who play basketball. Crazy, right? The team recorded its mile run times last week. Here's some of the notable times. Luke May won the event this year with a time of 5:06. That's an average speed, here's some math, of just less than 12 miles per hour. Kennedy Meeks cut 24 seconds off last year's mile time, clocking in at 6:03. Every big man in the group finished faster than the desired time set by Coach Roy Williams. So we know the basketball team is fast, but could time until on-court action be any slower? Let's take a look at when this season really kicks off. You can get your first look at this year's team at Late Night with Roy on October 23rd. TNT's Kenny the Jet Smith will be hosting, and there will be what is sure to be a touching tribute to the late Tar Heel Stuart Scott, with a blue and white scrimmage capping off the night. The Heels then opened the season in Annapolis, Maryland against Temple. Temple's an NIT finalist last season. They might be pretty good. Then 2 days later, they've got a quick turnaround. They'll host Fairfield in their season opener. Fairfield was just 7-24 in the MAAC last year. Not a good team. I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction. We might see some biscuits really early in the season. I'll tell you what, I'm excited. The fun starts in just less than 2 weeks. Lewis, I know I'm ready for the season to start. It's nice to have something to look forward to that isn't a midterm. Lewis, back to you.
That was the impeccable Brett Thompson in the studio. Thanks, Brett.
Sports Extra returns.
UNC women's soccer suffered its first loss of the season in Carolina's first ever match against Louisville. Though the Tar Heels outshot the Cardinals 30-6, only 9 of their shots were on goal. Chapel Hill native Alexis Kimball put the Heels ahead 34 minutes into the first half. The Cards tied the game up on the next free kick, eventually winning in the final seconds of the overtime period. The Heels looked to bounce back against Florida State. FSU almost hit their first shot off the corner right there on this free kick, but Lindsey Harris leaps to make the diving save at the last second. But the Seminoles would find the back of the net in the 78th minute when the goalie sent a long ball over the Carolina defense, which led to this striking finish from the Seminole forward. That would prove to be the game winner as the Heels fell 1-0.
In the past 8 years, the overall record of the UNC women's soccer team has been 140, 28, and 13. That's very, very impressive. But looking deeper, the Heels have repeatedly struggled against one team in particular, Florida State. In those 8 years, the team record has been 3-6-2 against FSU. The losses against FSU have actually accounted for roughly 21% of all losses by women's soccer since 2007. Wow.
The men's soccer team battled rainy conditions Saturday night as the Heels took on Syracuse. The Orange opened the scoring in the first half with a nifty header from Miles Robinson. The goal marked the first time Carolina trailed in any match, but Josh Hume was able to tuck away that rebound. He did get a yellow card for that excessive celebration, but that's all right. The coach was all right with it. Carolina would end up winning 2-1. Great game from James Pyle, career-high 7 saves, and the Tar Heels stay undefeated.
Speaking of James Pyle, the UNC soccer player shares more than just DNA with his twin brother. The two have played the same position since they were kids. Danielle Wallace talks to the twins about their journey together.
Redshirt freshman James Pyle says it's not just twin telepathy that made him and his brother both play goalkeeper. James plays for the North, and his twin William, the South. Carolina, that is. Despite the ongoing which is the real Carolina debate, raising fears of a brotherly brawl, James says the brothers help each other with their goalie skills.
Both taught each other a lot when it just comes to technique and different things. Like, he's better at kicking, and I'd say I'm a little better at diving.
Practice with your brother sure has its benefits. Via Skype, William spoke of their brotherly bond on the field.
He's really good at crosses, so I might try to watch and see what he does and then give him feedback on what I vice versa, so it kind of helps each other out.
The twins from Ardrey Hill, North Carolina began playing together when they were just tots at a YMCA camp. By the age of 12, both were goalkeepers. James has been a Tar Heel all his college career, while William played for UNC Greensboro before transferring to USC this year. James says it's tough being separated from his twin.
I miss my brother. I wish Columbia and Chapel Hill were a little closer to each other, so then we could just drive on the weekends and maybe have lunch or just hang out.
William also misses his bro.
Being around him at training and talking to him during off times and just seeing him grow on the field. Because when we go on trips now, yeah, I have guys on the team, but it's not like having your brother there with you.
Even though one of them is spending way too much time in Gamecock country, it will take more than a little rivalry to break this brotherly bond. In Chapel Hill, I'm Danielle Wallace, reporting.
Unfortunately for fans who want to see the sibling rivalry on the pitch, the two brothers won't face off this season unless it's in the NCAA tournament.
The UNC volleyball team kept its hot streak alive with a victory against UVA Friday night at Carmichael. The Tar Heels defeated the Wahoos in straight sets, improving to 5-1 in conference play. Senior standout Paige Neuenfeld led the balanced attack with a 12-kill, 6-block performance. Libero Sheila Doyle ignited the defense with a match-high 13 digs and 4 assists. This win gives the Heels their 4th straight ACC sweep. The Heels take on number 19 Florida State Friday at Carmichael.
With results like that, it's no doubt the UNC volleyball has a lot of shining stars. And as Genesis Jackson tells us, Paige Neuenfeld is one of the brightest.
UNC's volleyball team has a lot of shining stars, and Paige Neuenfeld is one of the brightest. Neuenfeld played the sport as a kid, but not at a high level.
I loved my CYO team. I loved my middle school team. I had a blast. So my passion for the game developed pretty early, but I didn't really get any of the training until I had made varsity in my high school freshman year.
And head coach Joe Segula has seen her continue to improve during her time in Chapel Hill. It's her love for the game he admires most.
A lot of people are very much attracted to her when they see her on the court because she's very upbeat, she's energetic, when she gets a kill, she celebrates well, she celebrates a lot, and in a very respectful way, and it inspires her teammates around her. And because of that, it also inspires people in the stands.
Teammates Victoria McPherson says Neuenfeld is a teammate who builds her up too.
As a teammate, Paige is just one of those people you want to have with you on the court. Always really vocal, always encouraging. You can always hear her voice over everyone else's.
The Tar Heels are already wondering what they're going to do when their spiritual leader graduates.
Not having that, I mean, I know people who can step up into that role, but there is no replacement for Paige, bottom line.
That dedication and personal commitment will be Paige Neuenfeld's Carolina legacy. In Chapel Hill, I'm Genesis Jackson reporting.
If UNC Volleyball wants to keep up this nice little streak they have going on, I guarantee you Paige Neuenfeld will be a big part of it. Next up on Sports Extra, women's golf came out swinging in the Ruth's Chris Tar Heel Invitational.
Find out if UNC could tee up a successful weekend.
The field hockey team hosted the Longwood Lancers on Friday, and UNC took care of business in what ended up being a one-sided drubbing. Carolina scored early and often, setting up camp outside Longwood's goal and never leaving. Here's Austin Cuneo cleaning up a rebound early on. Dutch freshman, apologize to Eva and her family, Eva van Hoch effortlessly chips it in over the keeper. What a cheeky shot. 3 UNC goals later, Van Hoch strikes again, this time dancing around would-be defenders, slamming it home. Have a day, Eva. Here's Austin Cuneo again with a bullet from deep to end the first half with a Tar Heel lead of 7-0. The Tar Heels sent the Lancers packing with an 8-1 loss.
The Carolina softball team hosted Elon for an exhibition game on Friday. The story of the game was junior pitcher Kendra Lynch. Lynch brought the heat and finished with 3 strikeouts and 0 earned runs. The bench was loving it. Got him! Lynch wasn't done there. She rips a double into the gap like a young Madison Bumgarner. Last year's team MVP, downtown Kristen Brown, was booking it all the way from first, and she scored standing up for one of 12 Carolina runs. Final score, Tar Heels 12, Elon 4. UNC swimming and diving opened the season with a couple of tough losses against nationally ranked Georgia. The women's meet came down to the final event, but the Heels came up short, losing by only 4 points. Carolina junior Helen Moffitt led the way for the Heels, taking the 100-yard backstroke and 100-yard butterfly. The men's team found rougher waters, falling by a score of 170 to 125. UNC junior Jack Nyquist was strong on the boards as he swept both diving events. Nyquist fell just short of a school record in the 3-meter dive.
The women's golf team hosted 17 schools in the Ruth's Chris Tar Heel Invitational this weekend. Who names their company that? That's crazy. With a beautiful Carolina blue sky over Finley Golf Course, the Heels finished round 1 in 6th place. Saturday was a different story, with the tournament being played in far less favorable conditions. The Heels struggled, finishing day 2 in 8th place. But not all was bad. Check out this putt by Leslie Klutz. What a sweet stroke. She was featured recently on Sports Extra. She led Carolina, finishing with a career low 4 under par. Klutz tied for 3rd individually, and Duke won the tournament.
Well, I know fall's only just gotten started, but when Sports Extra returns, we skip pumpkin spice lattes and leaves and go straight to the ice.
It's a cold world out there, man. Cold world. Welcome back to Sports Extra. You know, it's not unusual for the Carolina community to come together for a common cause, and they tend to do it in some of the craziest ways you'll imagine. This one is definitely up there. Our Shawnee Edwards says this time, most attending those events made a real splash.
It was a cool October Saturday morning at UNC, around 10 o'clock a.m., 57 degrees with a mostly cloudy sky. Most would be preparing their breakfast at this hour, but others decided to go freezing for a reason. UNC senior Charles Collins teamed with UNC Aquatics to host the university's first Carolina Polar Plunge to benefit the Special Olympics of Orange County.
It was the perfect union. Special Olympics Orange County is small enough that the money that we raise can make a significant impact on their season budgeting.
The fundraiser took place at UNC's Kessing Outdoor Pool, normally closed during this time of year. Participants included students, adults, and children from the local community, and even members of the Chapel Hill Fire Department.
Part of this event is really to bring the community together, but it's one of those deals where we're just trying to build a little bit more community because, you know, that's at the end of the day, that's what we are.
coordinator Colleen Lanigan brought along Special Olympics athletes to participate by dipping in the pool, bringing out the tunes, or participating in the costume contest. It seemed they were all having a blast. In Chapel Hill, I'm Ishani Edwards reporting.
Organizers hope to make the Carolina Polar Plunge annual tradition at UNC.
Are you ready for some ice hockey? I know I am. I grew up in Michigan watching Steve Yzerman and Brett Hull and Brendan Shanahan lay the smackdown every year in the Stanley Cup Finals. Our Aaron Wygant was there when the UNC club ice hockey team opened up their season this weekend.
It's a big day for the UNC club ice hockey team. And yes, we do have a team. And I'm here at the Raleigh Iceplex for the ACCHL kickoff tournament. Let's go see what teams are here.
The rink was swarming with jerseys of every color from the 13 schools that make up the Club Hockey League along the East Coast. Not everyone knows about UNC's team, or that the Heels are the ACCHL defending champions after winning the Admirals Cup last year. Head coach Jeff Volkman said, much of the group's success has to do with the focus on acting like a varsity team.
Many learning lessons on and off the ice, but we take care of both ends. You know, class and character are first and foremost. You know, we're representing University of North Carolina, our teammates, and our family.
The tournament began with a skills competition, with players competing for titles like the fastest shot, where our own Chris Vailloux clocked in the fastest at 87 miles an hour.
How do you feel?
Next came the ACC North versus South All-Star game. I put a GoPro on UNC goalie Trent Holmes to see what being a human target feels like.
Score, please!
He finished the game with a shutout, helping the Southern schools beat the Northern half 7-0. I got to spend a little time in the penalty box, and unfortunately, so did our players.
Hey, we get some sweet FaceTime.
Yeah? Still, the Heels on Steel made some great plays and ended up winning the game 4-2. In Raleigh, I'm Aaron Wygant reporting.
The Heels placed 5th in the tournament, which is pretty impressive considering they're a young team and are already facing a lot of injuries.
That is pretty impressive, Rivers. But speaking of ice hockey, you know what else is ice cold?
What's that, Lewis?
Ooh, those new jerseys.
Those new basketball jerseys are so good looking. I might buy one for every day of the week. I'll just get the whole starting 5 and wear a different one every day of the week.
Oh yeah, they're so good looking. I want to take them out to dinner. Am I right? Or am I right?
Man, they are attractive, man. I tell you what.
And one thing I have heard though is that some people say, now get this, they think it looks like the black Duke jerseys. What do you think?
There's a lot of Carolina traditionalists, especially when the old football jerseys came out and we were trying to incorporate black a lot, who are going to say Carolina blue is our color and we wear Carolina blue and that's what we do. But
definitely.
We're, a fashion-forward school. I think we can mix it up.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun. All right. Well, thanks so much for watching this edition of Sports Extra. Have a great night. What a birthday.